In this section, we will identify the components of the DFG 100 and where they are located within the unit in light of the schematic and the diagram. Let's start on the diagram with the plug. It is shown here on the schematic. It is a NEMA 5-15 plug. Now the light switch is highlighted. It is the left switch when viewed from the front of the control. Next is the cavity lights. They're located in the rear of the unit. The mode switch is shown here on the diagram and here on the schematic. It is located at the top of the control panel. The blower switch is shown here. Here it is on the schematic. It is the black switch to the right of the light switch. The convection motor is represented here. It can be accessed at the rear of the unit. The motor capacitor is shown here. It is a 10 microfarad at 370 volt capacitor. It can be viewed in the center of the control area. The cooling fan thermostat is shown here. It closes on rise to cool the control compartment in cool down or off mode. The CR1 relay is shown here. It is energized in cook mode whenever the door is closed. It's mounted in the control compartment. The axial cooling fan is shown here. It draws cool air into the control compartment from the back of the unit. The temperature control board is shown here. It is shown here on the schematic. As of November 2007, the control has an incorporated potentiometer. Older units will have remote potentiometers. The probe is shown here and here on the schematic. The probe is inside the oven cavity on the right. Next, we see the cook timer. It is the lowest dial on the control panel. The timer buzzer is not attached to the timer. Here we see it on the schematic. It's mounted below the timer and is often confused with a relay. Here is the 120 to 24 volt AC transformer. It's mounted above the ignition module. The centrifugal switch of the motor is represented here on the diagram and here on the schematic. It is located inside the convection motor and is not considered field serviceable. The gas cutoff switch is shown here. It's mounted at the bottom of the control panel. Next, we see the door switch. It can be found by removing the panel below the doors at the front of the unit. The ignition module is shown here. In July of 2010, Blodgett switched from Johnson to Fenwal ignition modules. The pilot assembly is shown here. Here is a pilot assembly shown outside the unit for clarity. Here is the oven ready light. It is mounted up and to the left of the temperature potentiometer. The gas valve is shown here on the diagram. It is shown here on the schematic. Here is a close-up of the valve. The motor terminal block is only shown on the diagram. It's mounted above the power cord terminal block. The power cord terminal block is also only shown on the diagram. It's mounted below the convection motor terminal block.